I cheated on my fiancé with his brother and got pregnant. He walked away without a word, cut off the whole family, and 5 years later, he's thriving abroad while I'm raising his brother's kid alone in a house full of regret. I'm sitting at my kitchen table watching Felix, my 5-year-old, build a tower out of blocks, and all I can think about is the day I destroyed my life. It's been 5 years, but some memories don't fade. They just sit there, waiting for the right trigger. Tonight it was the way Felix tilted his head while concentrating, tongue poking out slightly. That's not his father's mannerism. It's his uncle's. The uncle he's never met. The uncle I was married to before I blew everything up. Let me back up. 6 years ago, I had what most people would call a good marriage. Donovan and I had been together since college, 6 years total, married for 3. He was a hydrologist, spent his days analyzing water systems and underground reservoirs. Steady work, good income, reliable as hell. Maybe too reliable. I don't know. I'm not making excuses. He was the kind of guy who remembered anniversaries, who'd leave notes in my lunch bag, who'd listen to me complain about my event planning job even though I could see his eyes glazing over. He loved me in this quiet, solid way that I took for granted. His younger brother Troy was different. Where Donovan was measured, Troy was impulsive. HVAC technician, worked with his hands, always had grease under his fingernails and stories about weird customer calls. He made me laugh. He made me feel spontaneous. And during one particularly bad month where Donovan was traveling for work and I was lonely and stupid, I let Troy make me feel other things too. 4 months. That's how long the affair lasted. 4 months of sneaking around, of deleting texts, of hating myself but not stopping. And then I missed my period. The test showed 2 lines. I did the math. I knew. I sat Donovan down on a Tuesday night. He'd just gotten back from a site inspection in Nevada, still had his work boots on. He looked tired but happy to be home. I need to tell you something, I said. He set down his beer. Okay, I'd rehearsed this. I had explanations ready about confusion and emotional disconnect and how it meant nothing. But when I opened my mouth, all that came out was, I'm pregnant. It's Troy's. I expected an explosion. Yelling. Maybe him throwing something. I'd mentally prepared for anger, for tears, for him demanding details. He just stared at me, 10 seconds. Maybe 15. His face didn't change. He didn't move. Just looked at me like he was trying to recognize someone he thought he knew. Then he nodded. Once. Slowly. Okay, he said. That's it. That's all he said. He stood up, walked to our bedroom, and I heard him opening drawers. I followed him, words tumbling out. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened, we can figure this out, please say something. He packed a single duffel bag. Clothes. Toiletries. His laptop. Moved around me like I was furniture. Donovan, please, I need your keys to the apartment, he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Like he was asking me to pass the salt. I gave them to him. What else could I do? He zipped the bag, slung it over his shoulder, and walked to the door. Where are you going? My voice cracked. He paused, hand on the doorknob. Didn't turn around. Somewhere you're not. And he left. I called him 17 times that night. Straight to voicemail. Texts turned green, blocked. Social media accounts vanished like they never existed. I drove to his office the next morning. His colleague said he'd called in, taking personal time, wouldn't say when he'd be back. By Friday, his apartment was empty. Movers had cleared it out. 72 hours and he'd erased himself from the city. The divorce papers arrived Monday morning. Filed through a lawyer I'd never heard of. No fault divorce, 50-50 split of assets, no alimony requested. Clinical. Efficient. Done. His parents tried calling him. Blocked. His friends tried reaching out. Nothing. His boss said he'd requested a transfer, effective immediately. It was like watching someone delete their own existence, one connection at a time. Troy called me crying 2 weeks later. He won't talk to me. His number's disconnected. I went to his work and they said he transferred out of state. What did we do? What did we do? Like it was a team effort. I was 12 weeks pregnant and legally single when I found the only thing Donovan left behind. A note, tucked into the kitchen junk drawer where he used to keep his work badge. It said, "You made your choice. I'm making mine. Don't look for me." That was 5 years ago, and I still don't know which hurt more, that he left, or that he left without giving me anything to fight against. Donovan's parents showed up 3 days after he disappeared. Beverly, his mom, was a mess. Red eyes, tissue clutched in her hand, the whole devastated mother routine. Roger, His dad looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. They sat on my couch, the same couch where Donovan used to fall asleep during movie nights, and I had to tell them their son was gone. He blocked us, Beverly said, voice shaking. His phone just rings and rings, then nothing. We drove to his apartment. It's empty. Roger called his office. They won't tell us anything except he requested a transfer. Where? Roger asked me, like I had answers. Where did he go? I don't know. He won't talk to me either. Because of what you did. Roger's voice was flat. Not accusatory, just stating facts. Beverly shot him a look. Roger, no. He held up a hand. Let's not pretend. Our son left because his wife and his brother, he couldn't finish. Just shook his head and stared at the floor. The silence stretched out. I waited for them to leave, to cut me off like Donovan had. That's what should have happened. Instead, Beverly reached over and touched my hand. You're carrying our grandchild, she said softly. Whatever happened, that baby is still family. I started crying. Not because I deserved her kindness, I didn't. But because in that moment, she was offering me something Donovan never would again, a lifeline. Over the next month, they chose sides without saying it out loud. They still tried reaching Donovan, emails that bounced back, letters returned unopened, messages left with former colleagues that went unanswered. But they showed up for me. Doctor's appointments. Grocery runs when morning sickness hit. Beverly even started setting up the nursery in their house for when I'd visit. He'll come around, she kept saying. Once he's had time to process, he'll come back. But Roger's face said he knew better. Troy was a wreck. He'd show up at my place at odd hours, sometimes drunk, always guilty. I keep thinking he'll call, he said one night, sitting on my steps at 2 a.m. Just to yell at me. Tell me what a piece of crap I am. Something. But it's just nothing. Like I don't exist. I corrected. Like we don't exist. He looked at me, and I saw it in his face, the same thing I'd been feeling. We'd had this passionate, reckless thing that felt so important in the moment. And now we were sitting in the wreckage, realizing we'd burned down a house for a spark that was already dying. We should get married, Troy said. I laughed. Couldn't help it. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. I'm serious. He wasn't smiling. The baby needs stability. My parents need something to hold on to. And we made this mess. We should at least try to build something from it. You don't love me, I said. I care about you. That's more than a lot of marriages start with. He wasn't wrong. And I was scared. Scared of being alone, scared of raising this baby without support, scared that if I said no, I'd lose the only family I had left. So I said yes. The wedding was 3 months later, small ceremony at the courthouse. I wore a navy dress that hid my bump. Beverly cried through the whole thing, the wrong kind of tears. Roger stood stone-faced. Troy's hand shook when he put the ring on my finger. The officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," and Troy kissed me like we were sealing a business deal. That night, in the hotel room Troy had booked, trying to make it romantic, I guess, I lay awake while he slept. Kept thinking about Donovan. About how he'd proposed on a hiking trail, ring in his pocket for 3 weeks waiting for the right moment. How he'd been nervous and sweet and so damn sure. This wasn't a wedding. It was damage control. Felix was born in October. 8 pounds, healthy, looked like Troy from day one. Beverly and Roger fell in love with him instantly, and for a while, it felt like maybe we could move forward. Maybe we could pretend we were a normal family. Then, 3 months after the wedding, a certified letter arrived. From a law office in Colorado. I opened it with shaking hands. On behalf of our client, Donovan Reeves, we are writing to formally request that all parties cease any attempts at contact. Mr. Reeves has relinquished any claim to shared property as outlined in the divorce settlement and asks that his decision to maintain no contact, including through family intermediaries, be respected. Our client has relocated and wishes to move forward with his life. Any further attempts to reach him will be considered harassment and handled accordingly. Mr. Reeves has moved on. Please respect his decision. I read it 3 times. Troy found me on the kitchen floor, letter still in my hand, finally understanding what moved on meant. Donovan wasn't coming back. Not in a month. Not in a year. Not ever. He'd cut the cord completely, parents, brother, me, all of it, and was building a life that had nothing to do with us. And the worst part? I couldn't even hate him for it. He'd done exactly what he said he would. Made his choice. And kept it. 4 years into my marriage with Troy, I realized we'd stopped pretending. We had a routine. He'd wake up at 5 a.m. for work, I'd get Felix ready for preschool, we'd text about dinner plans, He'd come home around 7. We'd eat. Watch TV. Put Felix to bed. Then Troy would have a beer. Then another. Then he'd fall asleep on the couch and I'd cover him with a blanket before going to bed alone. We were functional. We were parents. We weren't lovers. The lovemaking, when it happened, felt like checking a box. Maintenance. Neither of us initiated much anymore, and when we did, it was quick and mechanical. Afterward, we'd roll to our separate sides of the bed. Sometimes I'd hear him sigh, and I knew we were both thinking the same thing. This wasn't what either of us wanted. But we'd made it, so here we were. Felix started asking questions around age 4. "Daddy has a brother?" he said one day, looking at an old photo at Beverly's house. Beverly had most pictures of Donovan put away, but she'd missed one, Donovan and Troy as teenagers, arms around each other, both grinning. Beverly froze. Troy looked at me. "Yeah, buddy," I said. "Uncle Donovan. He lives far away. Why doesn't he visit?" "He's very busy with work. Can we call him?" Troy stood up abruptly. "I need some air." He started doing that more, leaving rooms when Donovan came up. Which was often, because Felix was curious and kids don't understand why some questions make adults uncomfortable. Why aren't there pictures of Uncle Donovan at our house? Why does Grandma cry when I ask about him? Did Uncle Donovan do something bad? That last one broke me. No, baby. He didn't do anything bad. Sometimes grown-ups just go separate ways, but he's Daddy's brother. Brothers don't leave. I didn't have an answer for that. Beverly let things slip sometimes. She couldn't help it. We'd be having coffee and she'd mention that Donovan was doing very well in Colorado. Or that he'd sent a brief email, 2 lines, polite but distant, declining a holiday visit. "He's thriving," she said once, staring into her mug. "Roger found his LinkedIn. Some big water conservation project. He looks happy," she said it like an accusation. Roger was worse. He'd started drinking more after Donovan left, and one night at a family dinner, 3 bourbons deep, he looked at Troy and me and said it. "We lost the wrong son," Beverly gasped. "Roger, no." He pointed at us. "You want me to say it's fine? That we're one big happy family? Look at you two. You're miserable." Felix is growing up in a house held together by guilt. And Donovan, his voice cracked. Donovan was the strong one. The smart one. And he's gone because of this. Troy left that night and didn't come home until morning. I found him passed out in his truck in our driveway, empty whiskey bottle on the passenger seat. It got worse. Troy started staying late at job sites, coming home smelling like beer. I didn't push it because what was I going to say? Our entire relationship was built on a foundation of mutual regret. One night, about 6 months ago, he came home and just broke down. We were sitting at the kitchen table, Felix asleep upstairs, and Troy put his head in his hands and started sobbing. "He was my best friend," he choked out. "Growing up, he was the one who, when Dad was hard on me, Donovan was the one who stood up for me. When I was struggling in school, he tutored me. When I didn't think I'd amount to anything, he told me I was worth something. I reached for his hand. He pulled away. And I repaid him by sleeping with his wife." "For what?" He looked at me, eyes red. "4 months of what? This?" He gestured around the kitchen. "We traded him for this? Troy, I loved you. I did. But I loved him more. And I threw him away for something that was never going to last." I had no response. Because he was right. We sat in silence until he got up and went to bed. 3 weeks later, Troy was driving home from a job site outside the city. Late night, 10:30, construction project that ran over. The police said the other driver ran the red light going 70. Drunk. Hit Troy's truck on the driver's side. Troy's supervisor called me from the hospital at 11:57 p.m. "Mrs. Reeves, there's been an accident. You need to come now." I called Beverly to watch Felix and drove to the hospital doing 90 the whole way. They'd already taken Troy into emergency surgery by the time I arrived. Severe head trauma. Internal bleeding. The doctor's face told me everything before his words did. The next 72 hours are critical. Troy came out of surgery at 4 a.m. They moved him to ICU. Induced coma. Tubes everywhere. Machines breathing for him. I sat in that chair for 2 weeks straight while Beverly watched Felix. The doctors said he might wake up. They also said he might not. And then they said something else. "We need to discuss options for ongoing care. The costs." Roger cut him off. "Whatever he needs. With respect, sir, we're looking at extensive rehabilitation, possibly long-term care. Insurance will cover some, but How much? I asked. The number he gave made Roger's face go pale. That night, Beverly and Roger sat in the hospital cafeteria, and I watched them have a conversation with their eyes. The kind married people have after 40 years. Finally, Beverly spoke. We need to call Donovan. No, Roger said immediately. Absolutely not. Beverly's jaw set in that way that meant she'd already made up her mind. Roger, we don't even know where he is. He made it clear he wants nothing to do with us. He's in Colorado. You found his LinkedIn, remember? Finding someone online and asking them to save their brother who betrayed them are two very different things. I wanted to disappear into the floor. They were talking like I wasn't sitting right there, but that almost made it worse. I was part of the problem, not part of the solution. We're out of options, Beverly said quietly. Our retirement can't cover this. The insurance caps out at $200,000. We're looking at years of care, maybe decades if, she stopped, couldn't finish. If he doesn't wake up, Roger finished for her. And you want to ask Donovan to pay for that? The son we chose a grandson over? The son who we stopped fighting for because it was easier to accept the situation than lose the baby? That hung in the air. Beverly's hands shook around her coffee cup. He always was the capable one. Even when they were kids, Donovan was the one who figured things out. He'd know what to do. Who to call. He works in environmental projects now, probably makes good money. And he has connections, resources. He has a life that doesn't include us, Roger said. That was his choice. We need to respect that. Troy is dying. The word made everything stop. Maybe not today, Beverly continued, voice breaking. Maybe not this month. But without proper care, without the therapy he needs, she started crying. He's our son too, Roger. Roger closed his eyes. When he opened them, he looked at me for the first time. Did you keep any way to contact him? I shook my head. He made sure I couldn't. Then how? I might know someone, Beverly said. She pulled out her phone. That woman from his old office. The one who felt bad about his transfer. She stayed in touch with some of his colleagues. Maybe she can find a current contact. It took 3 days. 3 days of Troy lying motionless in that bed, machines keeping him alive, while Beverly worked her network like she was tracing a ghost. Finally, she got an email address from someone who'd worked with Donovan on a project in Singapore last year. Beverly sent a message. Short. Direct. Your brother was in an accident. He's in critical condition. Please call me. For 2 days, nothing. Then, I'll do a video call. Saturday at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. That's all I can offer. Beverly read me the response in the hospital waiting room. Her hands were shaking. He agreed, she said, like she couldn't believe it. Roger looked skeptical. To a call. Not to help. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Saturday came. We set up a laptop in a private waiting area. Beverly, Roger, me. Felix was with Troy's aunt, thank God. He didn't need to see this. At exactly 2 p.m. Mountain Time, the call connected. And there he was. Donovan, 5 years does things to a person. He looked older, but not in a bad way. Filled out. Confident. His hair was shorter, had some gray at the temples. He wore a casual button-down, sat in what looked like a nice apartment, plants on the windowsill behind him, afternoon light coming through. He looked healthy. Settled. At peace. Everything we weren't. Hi, Beverly said, voice small. Mom. His voice was neutral. Not warm, not cold. Polite. Like he was on a work call. Dad. And. His eyes landed on me for a fraction of a second before moving away. Everyone. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us, Roger said. I almost didn't. But I figured if you were reaching out after 5 years, it must be serious. He leaned back in his chair. What happened to Troy? Beverly explained. The accident. The coma. The surgery. The prognosis. The costs. She laid it all out while Donovan listened without expression. When she finished, silence. I'm sorry that happened, Donovan said finally. That sounds extremely difficult. It is, Beverly said. Which is why we're asking if maybe you could. Let me make sure I understand what you're asking me, Donovan interrupted. His tone hadn't changed. Still calm. Still measured. But something in the air shifted. Beverly froze. Donovan leaned forward slightly, folding his hands on the desk in front of him. You want me to help the man who slept with my wife while I was away on work trips. You want me to financially support the parents who chose a grandson over their son. And you want me to somehow fix this situation that involves the woman who destroyed 6 years of my life. He paused. Is that an accurate summary? Nobody breathed. Because if that's what you're asking, Donovan continued, voice still terrifyingly calm, I need to make a few things very clear. When I left 5 years ago, Donovan said, I made a decision. Not out of anger. Anger would have meant I still cared enough to fight. I left because staying meant being tied to people who fundamentally didn't value me. Beverly started to protest. Donovan, that's not. Mom. Let me finish. She closed her mouth. You called me 3 times after I left. 3. Then you stopped because I didn't answer. You sent 2 emails, both asking me to be reasonable and think of the family. Not once did anyone ask how I was doing. Not once did anyone say what happened was unforgivable. You just adjusted. Found a new normal that was easier than fighting for me. Roger's face was stone. We had a grandchild to think about. You had 2 sons. You chose one. Donovan's voice didn't rise. I don't blame you for that. Family is complicated. But don't sit there now and act like I owe you something after you made your choice. We're not asking for us, Beverly said. We're asking for Troy. Your brother. My brother. Donovan let out a breath that might have been a laugh. My brother was the person I trusted most in the world. When we were kids and I got bullied for being a nerd, Troy fought those kids. When I was struggling with whether to take the job in Nevada, Troy drove 6 hours to talk it through with me. He was my best man at my wedding. He looked directly at me for the first time. I wanted to dissolve. And while I was in Nevada analyzing aquifer systems, he was sleeping with my wife. In my apartment. In my bed, probably. I couldn't speak. Couldn't defend myself. So when you ask me to help him, Donovan continued, eyes back on his parents, understand that the person in that hospital bed isn't my brother. He stopped being my brother the moment he made his choice. Same as you stopped being my parents the moment you chose to rally around them instead of me. That's not fair, Beverly whispered. Fair? Now Donovan's voice had an edge. You want to talk about fair? Let me tell you about the 6 months after I left. I transferred to a project in Colorado, middle of nowhere, barely any cell service. I worked 16-hour days because the alternative was lying awake wondering what I did wrong. I went to therapy. I rebuilt myself from scratch. And you know what I learned? He paused. I learned that sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away from people who hurt you. Not for revenge. Not to prove a point. Just to survive. We were trying to survive too, Roger said quietly. I know. And you chose them. That's fine. But don't ask me to carry the consequences of your choice. I finally found my voice. He might die. Donovan looked at me. Really looked at me. His expression didn't change. People make choices, he said. And sometimes those choices have permanent consequences. Troy knew I existed when he slept with you. You knew you were married. And my parents knew what they were doing when they decided a grandson was worth more than a son. None of this is a surprise. It's just finally coming due. You've changed, Beverly said, tears streaming down her face. I hope so. The version of me you knew would have come running. Would have fixed everything because that's what I did, I fixed things. I was the reliable one. The responsible one. He smiled, but there was no warmth in it. That version of me died in a Nevada hotel room when I realized my entire family was a lie. So that's it? Roger's voice was hard. You're just going to let your brother die? My brother isn't dying. A man who shares some of my DNA is dying. I'm sorry that's happening. I really am. But it's not my tragedy. What about basic human decency? I asked. What about it? Donovan shot back. Did you show basic human decency when you had an affair? Did Troy show it when he betrayed me? Did my parents show it when they chose you over me? None of us had an answer. I'm not being cruel, Donovan said, softer now. I'm being honest. I owe you nothing. Not money. Not time. Not forgiveness. I survived by letting go of all of you. I'm not going to drown myself saving people who pushed me overboard. Is there anything we can say? Beverly asked desperately. No. There isn't. He straightened in his chair. I have a life now. A good one. I'm a senior hydrologist for an international environmental firm based in Auckland. I travel between New Zealand, Singapore, and Australia working on water conservation projects. I own a house. I have friends who don't know anything about you. And I have someone who loves me without conditions. That hit like a physical blow. Her name is Isla. We've been together 3 years. She's a marine ecologist. She's brilliant and kind and she knows my whole story and chose me anyway. He paused. We're building something real. Something honest. And I'm not going to jeopardize that by diving back into a family that never really wanted me. We did want you, Beverly sobbed. We do, you want me to fix things? That's not the same. Donovan stood up. We could see more of the apartment now, nice furniture, art on the walls, a cat walking across the background. He'd built a whole life. A whole world. Without us. I hope Troy recovers, Donovan said. I genuinely do. But you need to figure this out without me. Don't contact me again. If you do, I'll block this email too. Donovan, please. Goodbye, Mom. The screen went black. Beverly collapsed into Roger's arms, sobbing. Roger just stared at the blank screen, face gray. I sat frozen in my chair. He'd said no. Calmly. Completely. And there wasn't a single thing we could do about it. The worst part? I couldn't even hate him for it. Everything he said was true. 2 days later, Troy woke up. The doctors called it a miracle, minimal brain damage, motor functions intact, speech mostly unaffected. He'd need physical therapy, but he'd live. He'd be okay. His first words when his eyes opened were slurred but clear. Did Donovan come? Beverly hesitated. We called him, sweetheart. And? The silence answered him. Troy closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. Good. I don't blame him. 6 months passed. Troy recovered. Physically, anyway. But something in him had broken that had nothing to do with the accident. We divorced 3 months after he got out of the hospital. Quiet. Mutual. We couldn't even pretend anymore. I was scrolling through social media one night, stupidly, masochistically, when I saw it. A mutual friend from college had posted a public congratulations. Tagged someone. The post led me to a public photo. Donovan and a stunning woman with red hair and a bright smile, standing on what looked like a beach at sunset. Her hand was visible. Ring. The caption, starting the next chapter with the love of my life. She said yes. The comments were full of people I didn't recognize. His new friends. His new life. People saying you deserve this and so happy for you both. He looked genuinely, completely happy. Like we never existed. 1 year later, I'm living in a different apartment. Smaller. Cheaper. Half the space I shared with Troy, but it's mine. Felix has his own room. We split custody 50-50. Troy's doing better, physically recovered, seeing a therapist, working steady hours. We're civil. We have to be, for Felix. But we're not friends. We're two people who made a massive mistake and are trying to minimize the damage. Beverly and Roger see Felix every other weekend. They're cordial with me. That's the best word for it. The warmth that existed when I was pregnant is gone. Roger especially, he looks at me like I'm someone he has to tolerate for his grandson's sake. Which is fair. Beverly slipped once, about 4 months ago. We were doing a custody handoff and she mentioned that Donovan got married last summer. Destination wedding in New Zealand. Small, intimate. She wasn't invited. I saw the photos on social media, she said quietly. He looked so happy. She didn't cry. Just stated it like a fact. Her son was happy, and she wasn't part of it. I think about that sometimes. About how many people I took down with my choices. It wasn't just Donovan I hurt. It was his parents, who lost a son. Troy, who lost a brother in his self-respect. Felix, who'll grow up with questions I'm still figuring out how to answer. Speaking of Felix. He's 6 now. Smart kid. Too smart. Last week, he asked me directly. Mom, why doesn't Uncle Donovan talk to us? We were having breakfast. Saturday morning. I'd been dreading this conversation for years. I put down my coffee. What brought this up? Grandma has pictures of him in her house. But she hides them when I come over. I saw her putting one in a drawer. He looked at me with those serious eyes. Did he die? No, baby. He's alive. He's living in New Zealand. Then why doesn't he visit? I took a breath. You can't lie to kids. They figure it out eventually, and then they don't trust you. Because before you were born, I made choices that hurt him very badly. And he decided he needed to live his own life, away from us. That was the healthiest thing for him to do. What did you do? I hurt someone I loved. And sometimes when you hurt someone that deeply, they don't come back. Not because they're mean, but because they need to protect themselves. Felix processed this. Was it on purpose? No. But it still hurt him. Did you say sorry? I tried. But some things can't be fixed with an apology. He was quiet for a minute, eating his cereal. Then, is he happy now? That question broke something in me. Yeah, I said. I think he is. Then maybe it's okay that he left. Out of the mouths of children. I started seeing a therapist 8 months ago. Not couples therapy, that ship sailed. Just me, trying to figure out how I became the kind of person who could blow up her life so completely. Turns out I was selfish. Impulsive. Took stability for granted. Confused excitement with love. All the therapy cliches that are cliches because they're true. Do you think he'll ever forgive you? My therapist asked once. No. And I don't think he should. That's very black and white. Some things are. I looked at her. I'm not the victim here. I'm the villain. And I'm okay with that. She tilted her head. Are you? I have to be. Because the alternative is spending the rest of my life making excuses, and I'm tired of lying. I work 2 jobs now, event planning during the day, bartending 3 nights a week. Money's tight. I'm building back savings that got wiped out in the divorce. It's hard. But it's honest work, and I'm doing it on my own. I don't date. Tried once, 6 months ago. Guy was nice. Patient. But halfway through dinner, I realized I was comparing him to Donovan. Specifically, I was looking for red flags that I'd ignored before. Signs of instability. Signs that I'd screw this up too. I ended it after 3 dates. Maybe someday I'll be ready. But not yet. I saw another photo last month. Same mutual friend, same public post. Donovan and Isla at some environmental conference. She was giving a presentation, and he was in the audience, looking at her the way he used to look at me. Like she was the most important person in the room. The comments section was full of colleagues praising their work. They're apparently collaborating on some major conservation project in the Pacific. Power couple in their field. He didn't just survive. He thrived. And I'm here, working my ass off to pay rent, co-parenting with my ex-husband who's also my ex-brother-in-law, trying to explain to my son why his uncle doesn't exist in our lives. I thought I chose passion. What I really chose was destruction. Donovan didn't ruin me. I did that myself. He just had the strength to walk away from someone who didn't deserve him. I write sometimes. Journal entries, mostly. Trying to make sense of it all. Last night, I wrote, some people forgive. Some people fight. And some people just choose better. Donovan chose better. He chose himself. He chose peace over revenge, dignity over drama, a new life over trying to salvage one that was built on lies. And me? I'm choosing honesty. Finally. It's 5 years too late, and it doesn't change anything. But it's all I have. Felix asked me last week if people can be bad and still be good. Yes, I told him. People are complicated. We make mistakes. Sometimes really big ones. What matters is what we do after. What are you doing after? He asked. I looked at my son, this kid I brought into the world through betrayal, who deserves better than the mess I created. I'm trying to be honest, I said. And I'm trying to teach you that when you hurt someone, you have to accept that they might not forgive you. And that's okay. That's their right. He hugged me then. I forgive you, Mom. Baby, you didn't do anything wrong. I know. But maybe someone needs to. I held him and cried. Donovan survived me. He survived us. And maybe that's the only ending this story deserves. He got his happy ending. I got the truth. And somewhere in New Zealand, a man I once promised forever to is building a life with someone who deserves him, completely unaware that I'm finally accepting what I did. I lost him the day I cheated, but I lost myself the day I realized he was right to walk away. Some people get second chances. And some people like me, get to live with their choices and hope they raise their kids better than they live their own lives. That's not redemption, it's just reality. And maybe, eventually, that'll be enough. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.